Today is July 26th, 2024. My name is Jo Reingold, and I am here interviewing Helen Waldman. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about your family background, where people were from, where they came from, what they did, how did they settle here?
My parents are refugees. My father is now deceased. My mother is still with us. And my father originally came from Bardejov, Czechoslovakia, which is now Bardejov, Slovakia. My mother was born in Vienna, Austria, and came to the United States at the age of 4. Regretfully, my father came to the United States after having endured some time in Auschwitz, and finally, with the help of papers and a little politics, got into the United States, I believe, in around 1951. He was originally in New York, had an uncle in Greenville, Texas, named Oscar Tannenbaum, who had come to Texas in the 1920s, had another uncle also named Oscar Tannenbaum, and he had come to Austin. Many from the Historical Society will know him. He became a rabbi in Austin back in, I believe, the 30s and the 40s. So with the Texas connection, my father came here. He met my mother in New York. She was living there, and they married and then both moved back to Dallas.
Okay, so what kind of things were they involved in when they moved here?
They became very involved in the Jewish community. My parents were very big, and still are very big Balei Tzedakah people. They believe in building the Jewish community. I think it was a raison d'etre of theirs because of everything that they had been through. My father had survived Auschwitz. My mother was a 4-year-old refugee when she came across the ocean to America, so they felt that building and revitalizing a Jewish community wherever they went was very important. My father built the very active Orthodox Jewish day school called Akiba Academy, which is now called Aya, Akiba Yavna Academy. They merged a few years ago. My father really pretty much started that single-handedly. He solicited quite a few members in the society back in the 50s and built the school from there on up. Our family has been very active with Aya ever since then. I have grandchildren who go to Aya now. They're I have one going into first grade there too, so both in the elementary and in the preschool level. Another effort of my parents is the Orthodox synagogue called Sharei Tefillah, and they were very instrumental in having that built because there was an issue of a synagogue in the city with a mechitza. And if I'm not mistaken, there may have been some shtibels, but I believe, I haven't really thought about that, they were possibly the first synagogue in Dallas that did have a complete mechitza. Now, of course, there are quite a few as the Jewish community has expanded here in Dallas, but my mother and father were the pioneers.
Okay, so what else were they involved in, and what were you involved in alongside?
My father continued to be involved with many other organizations. He was very active with the Jewish Federation. They did a bit with Jewish Family Service, not so much. They did a lot with AIPAC, and I can go on and on and on. I believe my mother at certain times was a member of Hadassah, but I'm not sure. There were many other Jewish organizations, both on a local basis, on a national basis, and certainly an international basis. They've given over the decades a lot of money for the welfare of Israel and for the state of Israel, and that continues to be the situation. So I would say that their charitable causes really spread throughout the entire world. As a matter of fact, when I think about it, my parents dedicated a building. They had a building built at Bar Ilan University. The School of Music is located in Israel, and it has their name on that as well. So they've done quite a bit for two people who came to Dallas, with basically starting from beginning. I'd say they were quite admirable and very accomplished.
I know that some other family members came here along with your dad. How did he get involved with his siblings and extended family?
As soon as the war was over in Europe, my father went back to his town of Bardejov with the objective of finding his siblings. Regretfully, the youngest one had passed away. He was killed in Auschwitz at the age of 8. but his sister came back. As a matter of fact, his sister was working on the food lines, um, hoping to see one of her relatives come back, and that was a good way for her to meet them. And indeed, I don't know if it was directly or indirectly, but my father did meet up with his sister there, and eventually two of my father's brothers, David and Manny, who moved here to Dallas, they also showed up in Bardioff, and the four of them then built their lives together until 49, when the Russians were trying to overtake Czechoslovakia and making it communist. That did not work for my capitalist father, and after that, the writing was on the wall to head towards America, and that's when he started contacting the Tannenbaums, both in Greenville. My father's uncle, that was an uncle of his in Greenville, had contacts with Sam Rayburn, and through Sam Rayburn, through many older people will know, or history, you can look it up, was very active both for the welfare of the state of Texas and for the United States. And through him, my uncle was able to appeal for my family to get papers to get into America. And it took a while. They sat in France when they ran from Czechoslovakia. When the Russians came, it took a while till they got in. That's kind of a short capsule of it. But then eventually they managed to get originally to New York, and then later on into other parts of the United States.
So who actually ended up in Dallas?
My father, Marcus Rosenberg,
Mm-hmm.
my uncle, David Rosenberg,
Mm-hmm.
and my other uncle, Emmanuel Rohan. What happened is during the war, Manny was managed to stay out of, well, did he or not? Maybe at the very end he was in Auschwitz, I don't remember. But Manny had originally was part of the Jewish Czechoslovakian army. And what they started to do was change their names because in the beginning of the war, my family had dispensation because they were in the food business. And obviously the Nazis needed food distribution in order to maintain their troops. So for a while there, the family had not been taken. As a matter of fact, the family was not taken to Auschwitz until 6 months before the end of the war, when the Nazis knew they were losing the war and they didn't care about the food distribution anymore and just threw everybody in carts where they could.
So Manny had changed his name, you're saying, his last
Everybody
name.
had changed their name through the war, or at least, I think, at least Manny, to Rohan, which is like, whatever, non-Jewish name, from Rosenberg. And after the war, Manny decided to keep the name Rohan instead of reverting back to the original name of Rosenberg.
Okay. And you were born and raised here?
I was born in Dallas and raised in Dallas, yes. I spent some time in high school in Boston. I went to college, both abroad in Israel and in the United States, and eventually all roads led back to Dallas.
And what did you do after college? What career path did you take?
After college, I worked in New York as a stockbroker on Wall Street. I was also an instructor of stockbrokers on Wall Street. It was a lot of fun. Did that for a while and then kind of gave it up for motherhood and apple pie for a little bit at that point.
And then what? How did your road lead back to Dallas?
We decided once we had the kids that it would be best for us in Dallas, so we had left New York and came back to Dallas about a year after we were married, when we had our first child.
And what have you been doing since? What have you been involved in as an adult and as a young married, and continued on with what type of activities?
Well, professionally, after college, I became a stockbroker. As a matter of fact, I neglected to mention I worked here at Merrill Lynch for a few years before being transferred to work in the New York office. After the children came about, my second passion was always social work. So I did go back to the University of Texas at Arlington and received my social work degree. And from there, I worked in the social work field for quite a few years. My last position being a psychotherapist specializing in trauma with DID, dissociative identity disorder.
Are you retired now? Or are you still
I
working?
retired the last couple of years.
Oh, okay. So how have you been busying yourself? What kind of things are you involved in?
I have always, throughout my adult life, worked in the nonprofit field as well, volunteered, I should say, in the nonprofit field. I've been busy with that, and I've also done numerous other things, traveling among them. Now, my husband and I have 11 grandchildren, so we've been somewhat occupied with that. And I've continued to volunteer, really, in that field. I was lecturing for a little bit in my field from social work, but given the COVID situation, I kept getting COVID when I was lecturing, and that's not a good deal, so I've kind of moved that to the side for now.
So how did your family expand? Your immediate family, your parents living here?
My parents had 5 children. Regretfully, 2 of them have passed, Zichron Lebracha, due to breast cancer, but they both had been married and have had their own children. So some of them were here in Dallas, the Pulitzer family, Margot and Randy Pulitzer. 4 of their children were born here. 2 of their children, as this is being taped, live here. No, I take that back. 1 of them live here in Dallas. 2 of them are in New York. 1 is in San Diego. So that did them. My other sister who passed away, Sherry, she's married and she was married and had 3 kids. Their family went back to Philadelphia, where her husband was originally from. And then my brother, Steve Rosenberg, is here. They had 3 kids. And my sister, Elizabeth Greif, had 2 kids. The only one here in Dallas from that whole lot is Stephen's daughter, Dana, and her husband, Zach.
And what about your own family? I know you have 2 boys.
I have 2 boys.
Where are
and
they?
1
What
girl.
are they doing? And a girl, yes.
And a girl, yeah. My daughter, the youngest, is in Miami, Florida. My other son is in Phoenix, Arizona, Daniel. And then I have another son here in Dallas.
How have you tried to instill philanthropy into your own immediate family? Because you're so involved. What have you done for your children? What do they take on from your experience?
I am very proud to say that one of the value systems that I think all 3 of them have achieved is that they understand that part of being and living is to give back, and that we are very, very lucky that we are in a position we can give back to society, specifically to the Jewish society. I have 1 son in Phoenix, Arizona, who is an educator, so he's been very active on the state level with the Arizona Holocaust Society. I'm not sure that's the exact name for it, but their objective is to bring a lot of education and knowledge about the Holocaust in a constructive and positive manner, one can be under the circumstances, in the state of Arizona. And he's done that. I had quite a few documents that my mother had brought over. And I made copies for all the kids and additional family members as well. And my son has used that for educational purposes when he teaches. So I'm very pleased with what he's done, among other things he's done within the community too. My daughter in Miami has done quite a bit of work. Miami is a very vibrant community as of late, and she did at one time work for the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, so she's somewhat entrenched in that, and has worked to raise money, certainly as of late with what we currently have going on now with the October 7th massacre and the war that's ensued as a result. She's been very active in raising money to help directly many of the IDF soldiers and to make sure that they get even some of the basics they need given the constraints of this war. That's just been the latest of her many projects related to Jewish charity, so that's really great. The son here in Dallas is active with Shari Tefillah, and he's active with Akiva since he's got 3 kids in there.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you like to see going forward? Some projects, some ideas that you have that you'd like to see the Jewish community do in the near future?
The Jewish community as a whole?
Mm-hmm.
I really haven't given that a lot of thought. I mean, the Jewish community as a whole is so vibrant right now and has expanded so extensively that without really doing a needs assessment of the community, which I don't think Federation has done as of late, they may or may not, JFS may have done it, I just haven't been involved, that would be really hard to say. Things are getting pretty sophisticated in the world of nonprofit, and we are a major, major city now. So I think many of those things have been addressed. It's, for example, it's amazing on a social basis what Chabad is doing in the city to get young people to meet each other, which is kind of cool aside from the internet. I think JFS has expanded itself both to relate to the Jewish community in terms of behavioral health, which we know people are becoming aware of is a more and more important endeavor, among other things, which is good in the general society. We have numerous synagogues and temples now here in the city. How well they're coordinated or not, I really don't know. The JCC seems to be vibrant. The most recent past president, David Friedman, has done a bang-up job. Some donations did come from my family. My mother's very proud of her accomplishments with the service for the seniors for the meals that people come to. She revamped the kosher kitchen there, so that's really nice, and some other aspects of those services here at the J. Excuse me. I'm sure there are many other things that I'm missing that my family as a large have been very active with. My brother has been very active in the past with the Holocaust Society. I was on the board, many Jewish boards I was on, but one of the boards I was on was the Holocaust one. I know that has become a big and vibrant entity right now, thanks to Mary Pat Higgins. But as a whole, nothing immediately comes to mind. I just hope people will continue to grow and expand as the Jewish community in the city continues to grow and expand.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing
Yes.
I can think of at this moment. I just thank you for the opportunity
Sure.
to be able to relay this information to people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
having me.